You're walking through one of America's most terrifying and haunted houses, where an axe-wielding killer might still be lurking. But here's the thing. These ghosts aren't just watching you, they're waiting for you. And what happens next? Even we didn't see it coming. If you've got the courage, smash that like button, subscribe before the next victim, gets cursed. And comment, "Not Lizzie," if you've ever felt something touch you in the dark. Comment, "This house, it's got plans for you." Fall River, Massachusetts, holds its breath when the sun goes down. The Lizzie Borden house stands on 2nd Street, its white clapboard walls hiding more than just history. They hold echoes. August 4th, 1892. The heat was thick, suffocating. Andrew and Abby Borden were found butchered in their home, their skulls split open by an axe. The prime suspect, their own daughter Lizzie. The trial gripped the nation, but Lizzie walked free. The house, however, never forgot. Guests who dare to stay the night whisper of cold spots that coil around their ankles like spectral hands. Some hear the phantom thud of an axe striking wood, or worse, flesh in room 9, where Abby Borden died. Shadows move without a source. A woman's muffled sobs drift through the hallway, though no one's there. Then there's the basement. Even skeptics feel it, a weight, a presence. Workers restoring the house swore tools vanished, only to reappear in the exact spot where Abby's body was discovered. Lizzie's ghost. Some say she lingers at the top of the stairs, watching. Others swear it's her victims, trapped in an endless replay of their final moments. One thing's certain. In the Lizzie Borden house, the past isn't dead. It's waiting. Would you spend the night? The tour guides at the Lizzie Borden house always skip the basement. They'll tell you it's just storage, nothing to see, but the locals know better. In 1976, a paranormal investigator named Carl Mercer decided to spend the night down there. He set up cameras, recorders, and a crucifix just in case. His journal, found the next morning, was filled with frantic scribbles. "They don't want me here. The air is thick, like breathing in smoke. I hear scratching inside the walls. No, not scratching, digging. Something's trying to get out." The last entry was a single sentence, the ink smeared as if written in a hurry. "The shadows have faces." Carl was discovered unconscious at the foot of the stairs, his fingernails torn and bloody. He never spoke again. Visitors who dare to peek down the basement steps sometimes catch a whiff of something metallic, old blood maybe. The Lizzie Borden house is now a bed and breakfast, offering thrill seekers the chance to sleep where the murders happened. Most guests leave with nothing more than a creepy story, but some don't leave at all. In 2014, a couple booked room 9, Abby Borden's death chamber. They laughed at the warnings, even joked about getting a visit from Lizzie. But at 3:17 a.m., the other guests were jolted awake by a scream. The husband was found in the hallway, his face white with terror. His wife was still inside the room, sitting perfectly still on the bed, staring at the wall. When staff tried to speak to her, she turned her head slowly and whispered, "She's standing right behind you." The woman was rushed to the hospital, catatonic. Doctors called it acute psychological shock. But the husband knew better. He refused to ever speak of what they saw, only repeating one phrase before checking into a psychiatric ward. Lizzie wasn't alone in that room. To this day, staff occasionally hear faint laughter coming from room 9 when it's empty. And if you listen closely, it doesn't sound like Lizzie. It sounds like a man. The parlor of the Borden house looks almost untouched since 1892. Velvet drapes, stiff-backed chairs, and an ornate oval mirror hanging above the fireplace. Guests often pause to glance at their reflection, only to freeze when they realize something's wrong. In 2018, a paranormal investigator snapped a photo of the mirror during a midnight vigil. When he reviewed the image, his blood turned to ice, reflected in the glass. Wasn't the empty parlor behind him, but a scene from the past. Andrew Borden's body sprawled on the couch, his face a ruined mask of blood. And standing over him, barely visible in the gloom, was the silhouette of a woman in a long, old-fashioned dress. But the most chilling details, she was holding the camera. Since then, visitors have reported seeing movements in the mirror that don't match the room. Shadowy figures, pacing, a glint of metal, even a handprint that slowly forms in the condensation of the glass. Some hear a whisper, "Look closer." Those who do swear they see Lizzie's face, not as the stoic woman from the trial photos, but as something hungrier, something that's still waiting for justice or vengeance. Would you dare to look into the mirror? Most ghost stories about the Borden house focus on Lizzie, Andrew, and Abby, but there are whispers about other voices, ofter, younger, the kind that giggle in empty hallways when no children are present. Before the Bordens lived there, the house belonged to the Whitehead family. In 1872, their 6-year-old daughter, Eleanor, died of scarlet fever in what is now the second-floor guest room. Some say she never left. Guests who stay in that room report waking to the sound of a little girl humming a tuneless, off-key lullaby that fades as soon as they sit up. Others feel tiny fingers brush their cheek in the dark. The most chilling account came from a mother and daughter visiting in 2021. The girl, no older than 7, spent the entire night whispering to someone named Ellie. When her mother asked who she was talking to, the child smiled and said, "The girl under the bed. She says she's lonely." The next morning, the mother found a single antique hair ribbon tucked beneath her daughter's pillow, one that matched descriptions of Eleanor's burial clothes. But the most unsettling detail, Lizzie Borden was known to hate children. Some believe Eleanor's spirit hides from whatever walks the halls at night. Others think she's waiting for a friend, or for something darker. Would you let your child sleep in that room? The third-floor attic of the Borden house stays locked to guests. The official reason? Structural concerns. But staff whisper about the antique steamer trunk pushed against the far wall, the one that sometimes rattles in the dead of night. In 2009, a documentary crew bribed a night manager to let them investigate. Their footage shows them prying open the trunk to reveal yellowed newspapers from 1892, a blood-stained dress, and, most disturbing, a child's porcelain doll with its face smashed in. Just as they lifted it, their audio recorder captured a wet, gurgling whisper. "She told me not to look." The crew fled when one member swore something grabbed his wrist from inside the trunk. Later, reviewing their footage, frame by frame, they spotted a pale hand withdrawing into the darkness of the trunk just before it slammed shut on its own. Now guests on the second floor sometimes hear dragging sounds above them at 2:32 a.m., the exact time Abby Borden's body was discovered. Maintenance workers refused to go up there alone. After one reported finding the trunk wide open, its contents neatly arranged in a circle, with fresh blood pooling in the center. Would you open the trunk if you found the key? Not all the spirits in the Borden house are from the 19th century. In 1983, a retired Fall River police officer named Frank Almeida took a job as the property's nighttime security guard. On his third shift, he radioed dispatch in a panicked voice saying someone was walking the halls with an axe. When backup arrived, they found the front door locked from the inside and Frank's flashlight still on in the upstairs hallway, its beam illuminating fresh axe marks in the floorboards. Frank was never seen again. The most chilling encounter happened in 2016, when a ghost tour group captured an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, near the murder room. When enhanced, the audio clearly reveals Frank's voice whispering, "I found out who really did it, and now they won't let me leave." Would you take the night watchman's job? Guests at the Lizzie Borden house bed and breakfast are greeted each morning with a quaint tradition. a recreation of the Borden's last meal. But sometimes the kitchen staff arrive to find place settings mysteriously rearranged, 4 plates instead of 3, with the extra chair pulled up to the head of the table. In 2022, a guest snapped a photo of this odd tableau before staff could correct it. When she reviewed the image later, her blood ran cold. The 4th plate wasn't empty. On it sat a human finger bone, still glistening. The worst incident occurred last October. A couple woke to the smell of cooking meat and the sound of a woman singing "Rockabye Baby" from the dining room. When they investigated, they found the table set for 4, with 2 freshly severed pigs' heads grinning up from the plates. The security footage from that night shows the kitchen door swinging open at 3:17 a.m., but no one enters or leaves. Just 30 seconds of static before the pig heads appear on the table, as if placed by invisible hand. Now the staff triple-check place settings before serving, but guests still report waking to the sound of a knife being sharpened and a woman's voice whispering from the hallway. "Won't you join us for breakfast? Would you accept the invitation?" The gift shop at the Lizzie Borden house sells replica axes, postcards, and a famous crime scene photo of Andrew Borden's body. But one visitor found something far more disturbing hidden in the stack. In 2019, a college student, browsing the postcard rack, pulled out what appeared to be an original 1892 photograph showing Lizzie standing between her father's and stepmother's corpses, her dress splattered with blood. The most horrifying detail? She was smiling. When the student showed it to staff, they turned pale. No such photo existed in any historical record. The shop's security cameras showed the student removing the photo from the rack. But when staff searched the shop afterward, it was gone. That night, the student woke in her hotel room to find the photograph taped to her mirror. Now, it showed her standing between the bodies. She burned the photo immediately, but visitors still occasionally find it slipped into their purchased items or tucked into their luggage. Each time, the face of the smiling woman changes to match the new owner. The original student disappeared 3 days after her visit. The last image on her phone was a selfie taken in the Borden house parlor. If you zoom in on the mirror behind her, you can just make out Lizzie's blood-streaked face peering over her shoulder. Marine. Copy Visit. For over 130 years, the Lizzie Borden house has kept its secrets. But in 2025, a team of forensic historians made a chilling discovery while examining the basement walls. Behind layers of plaster, they found scratch marks, not from rats or time, but words carved deep into the stone. For 82, the same night this was uncovered, every electronic device in the house simultaneously malfunctioned. Security footage showed shadowy figures dragging something heavy up the stairs to the guest rooms. When staff investigated, they found all the beds turned down, each pillow bearing a single rust-colored handprint. 61 second. Guest reported hearing 2 voices arguing in the dead of night, a man's furious growls and a woman's pleading sobs. Paranormal investigators captured an EVP of a voice that didn't match Lizzie or either victim. You'll never prove it. 5. The most terrifying incident occurred last month. A medium holding a seance suddenly screamed, her body arching backward as invisible fingers appeared to wrap around her throat. When she came to, she scrawled a single name before fleeing the house forever, shapping generally iodines, plank on plint. Lizzie's older sister, who moved away after the murders, and whose diary mysteriously burned in a fire 2 weeks before the trial, knew unstory. Now the house feels different. The air hangs heavier, the shadows move with purpose, and at exactly 11:15 p.m. each night, the time Andrew Borden came home to die, the front door unlocks itself with an audible click.